while I was still, having these different business models inside of e-commerce, doing for myself,
Hmm.
I was also hosting a few networking events over here in Dubai.
Hmm.
So going and doing networking events, having people come over. This is pre-COVID.
Hmm.
So I was hosting these great seminars and
Okay.
boardrooms, all of that. And people come in and they're like, okay, Fahad, listen, you have all of these businesses made for yourself, but we are just 9 to 5 executives. What is there
Hmm.
for us? Like, how can you help us? And I'll be honest, back then I had nothing to really provide as a value to people out there,
Uh-huh.
right? And in the beginning, I was just slacking. I was like, yeah, you can start your own business. You can start your own business. But finally, after a while, I understood a lot of people are sort of stuck in their own cocoon, where they came up to me with the problem saying, Fahad, listen, yes, we really want to get into e-commerce. We really want to have a business, but the thing is, we don't have the time or the energy or the expertise. And
Hmm.
actually, we are not really looking to learn. And these are 9 to 5 executives anywhere from 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, right?
Hmm.
And even 25, probably 25 to 30 as well. So I'm like, okay, so maybe I can build something for these people where they don't have to put in their time, energy, or the expertise, but also can call an e-commerce brand or a store
Hmm.
theirs, right?
Hmm.
So I really wanted them to own. First of all, I really wanted to help these 9 to 5 executives, because once you have like one or two reach out and tell their problems, it's okay. But if it's like 100 to 100 people coming and telling you the problem and you don't have a solution, you kind of feel guilty for being at that position. Not
Right.
gonna lie, right?
Uh-huh.
So I was kind of feeling guilty. I was like, okay, I'm doing all of these events, but I also need to have a solution for these guys. So that's when I came up with something called in-arm marketing, which I still run to this day. In-arm
Hmm.
marketing is an agency that I built where I build a complete drop shipping automation for people, just like
Hmm.
95 executives who want to have a drop shipping store that they
Hmm.
can call theirs. Now,
Hmm.
again, it's a short-term thing. Whatever money they put in for short-term, they always make the money back. Um, and let's say you want to make $10,000, $20,000 in the next 6 months, we definitely make that happen by building a dropshipping store for you. So that is enormmarketing.com, that people can go out and check even right now, where we do something like that. And that is my first ever service-based brand that I built,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
Or I would say microservice brand that I built.
Hmm.
And it was fairly good for me. It was a successful startup because first I was really solving a big problem in the market. Number one. Number two, I was sort of one of the very few here in UAE to already do that. So that gave me an edge. And third, it was service where essentially all I did was, the moment I was ready to take people, I just put a story on Instagram saying, hey, dropshipping automation is available. Whoever is interested, let's talk. And in the first week, I was able to close $5,000 in monthly retainer,
Nice.
where people are paying me this much, multiple clients of mine paying me certain amount of money to get them an automation done. And that's when it
Nice.
clicked for me, because this was like 2 years ago. That's when it clicked for me. I was like, okay, wow, this service thing is cool,
Hmm.
right? This is cool because I literally put no money down. I did no Facebook ads, no Instagram ads, nothing, just free Instagram story
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
my profile. And it reached out to people, and I was able to
Hmm.
close like what, probably 7 to 8 people, and now I
Hmm.
have a monthly recurring revenue for the company as
Hmm.
$5,000.
Hmm.
$0 put in, five
Hmm.
thousand dollars made back in the first week. And
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with that. I was like, cool,
Hmm.
dropshipping is cool, POD is cool, print on demand is cool, but this is cooler. This is dope.
Yep. Yep.
So I started researching. I did all of my research, and I pretty much built this brand to 7 figures.
Hmm.
I was able to scale it to 1 million in 12 months. um, dollars, right? So $1 million. So yeah, it was amazing. I fell in love with this whole microservice branding strategy, and I truly was telling myself that, oh, maybe this strategy might be the best fit for me. Not
Mm-hmm.
gonna lie, the other ones were awesome too. No
Mm-hmm.
comparison. But, this really clicked for me, and I started falling in love with it. And believe me, I spent all of my time in perfecting it out and taking as much market share as possible. Because of course, once I was in the market, there were competitors as well. So in over here locally in Dubai. So the thing went well. However, something that I started to do, going more in detail to your question, something that I started to do now, because again, the next set of problem that I was having from people was like, okay, Fahad, it's cool that, this is the human tendency. You want something, then you want more, and then you want more,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
These 9 to 5 executives, not the exact same people, but the 9 to 5 executives again in Dubai were like, okay, you build these dropshipping stores for us. It's awesome. It's a short term thing, man. Can you build something for us which is long term, right? So they were really looking for something which is long term, a brand that I can build for them. Again, these are 9 to 5 executives who want to make an additional $5,000 to $10,000 a month in the first few months at least. And from there it's all the way, you can go to 15,000, $20,000 as well per month, and leave their boring job, right? So these are the type of people, they want to own an e-commerce brand. They really want to own an e-commerce brand. um, they do not have the time or the energy or the expertise. Sure, they have a bit of money here and there to invest. So those are the type of people that really had the biggest problem. And I became passionate, or dedicated towards solving problems for these people. And just about 4 or 5 months ago, I gave birth to Totally Branded. And Totally Branded is essentially where we build microservice brands for you from scratch, completely on autopilot. This is the beauty of it. There's no time, energy, or the expertise required from these people, and we build it from scratch. In other words, how I build in our marketing, the same way I will be building brands, microservice brands, for not for myself, but for my clients, or for my people, or for the 9 to 5 executives that really want to have a brand, automated brand, running on the side. Um, so yeah, it's been pretty successful. We've been able to, the first client that we got, we closed $15,000 the first 25 days for them. The beauty of it was that client paid nothing in Facebook ads, nothing in Instagram ads, and essentially we closed and got him clients worth $15,000. And how do we do that? Do you want me to go in on how we do that?
Uh-huh. Go
Yeah.
ahead, please.
Cool. So how we do that is, it's very simple, guys. Essentially, what I do is I add my own unique flavor to it, um, and that is what makes it very bootstrapped, very lean, as well as very profitable as well. Because for that $15,000 that we closed for that client, 80% was net profit. That is totally opposite to what you can make in dropshipping, right? Dropshipping net profit margins could be, anywhere from 10%, even 5% to max 20%, right? But over here, 80% was their net profit, which is awesome. And the way that we do that is, I first go out there and identify a niche, right? I don't like to complicate stuff here. It's very easy now. I've been in e-commerce for a long time, so definitely e-commerce is not the niche, but inside of it is the niche. So I want to go with e-commerce stores making $20,000 to $50,000 a month in revenue, let's say. Okay. Um, so I have my niche dialed in. And for other people out there, if you're not good at e-commerce, there'll be something. There's always something that you're good at. There was this other client who I was mentoring the other day, and he was like, "Hey, Fahad, I don't want to have an e-commerce agency, right? I don't want to have an e-commerce microservice agency or a brand. Rather, I'm really good at relationships." I was like, "Cool, you're good at building relationships. Trust me, man. Go out there and find people who have a lot of money and don't have great relationships." And believe me, in Dubai, at least in Dubai, you'll find a lot of those people, right? Making a lot of money, but nowhere close to relation. I don't even call that successful anyway. But so, that was his niche. So anything could be a niche. All you have to do is really dive in deep within you. It all starts by diving in deep within you. Something that, all the monks and Indian gurus have been shouting for 6,000, 10,000 years now. Anyway, so that's that. We first identify the niche, and then we try to identify what is the problem inside of that niche, right? Now, there are 2 3 ways of doing it. There are 2 ways that people mess up with. So that's a wrong strategy, where you're like, oh, let me listen to what I have to say. So a lot of people start off by problems that they think are a problem in the market. That's not how you start. You need to. So let's say my niche is, like I said, $20,000 to $50,000 e-commerce stores making $20,000, $50,000 in a month, right? I I go out there and find the owners, founders. There are many ways to do that. There's something called Built With. There's LinkedIn, where you can go and find owners. And I found like 50 to 60 of them. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Okay. So let's say you're the owner of that brand. I come to you and I tell you, hey man, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but how about we just hop on a 15-minute interview because I want to ask you a few questions. Trust me, out of 60 people you reach out, 10 people would be fine because they love to talk about their business. Hop on a call with them, hop on these 10, 15 of them, and really ask them questions like, what keeps you awake at night with your business? What is that one thing that you really want to solve inside of your business, right? And they're going to pretty much hand you over the business idea that you should be providing a solution for. You get what I'm saying? So rather than you doing an assumption on what the problem is in the market, rather doing all of that, just go out there and find the right people, which pretty much took me to find those 50, 60 people. It'll take you like 2 days maybe. Very easy with a few filters on LinkedIn and Built With. Interview them, take their 15 minutes, and there you go. You will find a commonality between all the answers that you get. Of course, you won't get the same answer in all of those 10 people, but whatever the commonality is, you stick with that. So that's that. And then from there on, you create a few initial assets. So far, you have spent no money because LinkedIn is free. Hopping on calls is free. Then you create a few initial assets where you're like, hey, you build a few sales decks. So now you have found the problem in the market. And then you create a few initial assets. So let's say I want to build a TikTok ad agency. Right? TikTok ad agency is my microservice brand that I want to build. Okay. So being in the TikTok ad, you can take a few screenshots, you can take a few sales deck. Inside of the sales deck, you can be like, hey, even if you have not done that before, it's okay. If you have not run TikTok ads, it's still okay. You can be like, hey, there was this one person who was at $50,000 with their business, and this particular agency was able to scale it to them to $75,000, right? Just using TikTok ads. You're using Facebook and Google, but by using TikTok, you can increase it by 50%. And I can do the exact same thing for you. This is the thing with sales. You really need to know how to convince, right? So I've been able to do that, even though I have no credibility. If I was able to do, if I was getting into a market where I had no credibility, I was still able to, convince people because I have the power to convince, right? And that is something definitely a lot of people have to work on. So that is what you're going to do: create a few initial assets. Then you're going to set a no-brainer price. I would say no-brainer price for a business that is making $20,000, $50,000 is you charging them $2,000 for their TikTok, for running their TikTok ads, and make them additional $25,000 in this case, in this scenario, because 50,000 to 25,000. It's a no-brainer because if you can make them 10 times more money, they would definitely want to work with you. And then finally, what you're going to do is you're going to do a bit of outbound messaging. We're going to reach out to people on LinkedIn, reach out to people with emails and telling them, listen, this is, again, pitching. Or you could even reach out to the people that you interview and be like, hey, finally, listen, man, I finally found the solution to your problem. You need to do a bit of research to find that solution, of course, which should not take you a lot of time. Believe me, no figuring out. It's all about selling before you even create, right? That's my thing over here. I don't like to create before I sell, right? I think that's crap. I think you should definitely sell before you create and then figure out. That's the key. So then you do a bit of outbound messaging, reach out to 100, 200 people or even more. And believe me, out of play the volume game. Once you're playing the volume game of reaching out to many people, one will agree. There you go. You have your first client paying you $2,000.
Interesting.